Welcome, welcome. I'm John, and today we're talking about blind tasting. It's definitely the most intimidating and the most misunderstood aspect of wine appreciation. But here's the thing. Blind tasting isn't just for sommeliers and professionals. It's actually one of the most fun things that you can do as someone who's learning about wine. It's also fun at parties. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the essentials. It's about paying attention, it's about mindfulness, and so it's about enjoying wine while paying attention to those little details. And so this is going to be an exercise for you. It's going to require concentration, and at the end, I promise you, it will be extremely humbling because you will almost always be wrong. And this is true of almost everyone. When I was young, I was really struck by how many professional athletes I'd meet out on the golf course and just how frustrating the game was for them. I'd make a comment about how they were one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, and yet they couldn't hit the golf ball straight. And they'd say, that's the point. It's just hard. And so today I'm gonna show you how to set up your own little blind tasting, which you'll learn, and why it matters to do this with friends. First things first, let's start with the basics. So blind tasting simply means evaluating a wine without knowing what it is. So there's actually kind of two types of blind tastings. The first is called a single blind. You know something about the wine, so maybe you know the grape or you know the region, but you don't know the producer, specific wine, you don't know the price. The next way to do it is called double blind. Now you know nothing. You don't know the grape, the region, the producer, anything. But the point of this is not actually to guess everything correctly, although it's very satisfying. The real value here is developing your abilities to assess wine objectively without being influenced by labels or prices or reputation. So what this is partially about is what you like, but what it's really about is paying a lot of attention to details. And to go through the process that will make regular old wine tasting just that much more fun. Let's talk about the types of blind tastings. So, there are three types of blind tastings that are particularly illuminating. The first is called a vertical tasting. Here you can see I have a Venia Justine, the 2019-2020 bottles. And this is a comparison of different vintages of the same wine. And so what makes this fascinating is that the winemaking approach is typically the same. So you're really tasting the same wine, but what you're really tasting is differences in growing seasons. And when tasted blind, you can really focus on what the difference the weather make. So you're gonna tell a little difference in fruit expression and structure, and you might be able to tell a little difference in aging potential. Here's another one. Old world versus new world. So one of the most fascinating comparisons is the old world versus new world expressions. By old world, remember, I mean Europe, I mean places where they've been doing this a long time. In new world, I mean places like the US, Australia, New Zealand, South America. So here I have a California Chardonnay and a white Burgundy. And blind tasting removes our preconceptions about these regions and lets us focus on the actual stylistic differences. So you're gonna pay attention to the fruit character, the oak treatment, acidity and structure, and then the winemaking philosophy. That in Europe, that follows kind of decades and centuries of tradition, and that in the US, which is certainly more experimental in the New World generally. And then we could also do a quality level comparison. So here we have a Realm Tempest 2019, a Lynch-Bages 2019. And so what you can do is compare similar quality levels across regions. So these are both premium Cabernet-based wines from their respective regions. And blind tasting these side by side reveals some stylistic differences, terroir expression, value proposition, and quality markers that just transcend the region. All right. So let's show how you would do this in your own house. So the first thing is you need somebody to wrap the bottles. You could also use numbered bags. I use this bag right here. And then you're gonna keep notes. And so you are going to have a consistent pour size And then let's have some waters and some neutral crackers to the side. So, the tasting process. The first thing you're going to do is you are going to look at the color. This is a red wine, I can tell. You're going to smell it. First the primary aromas, then the deeper notes, and then you're going to taste, looking for the structure. You might have to repeat this several times before you truly figure out what you believe this wine to be, and make sure to take careful notes. Just so you know, professionals will take 3 to 5 minutes with multiple smelling, multiple tasting, and each time they're trying to figure out what it is in a step-by-step process. So for example, that realm might show riper fruit, and the Lynch-Bages might show some graphite and herbal notes, but this isn't really a race. It's about building your impression layer by layer. Slow, 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 pay attention. And what will happen with the professionals is they'll say this out loud. What will happen at a tasting with people around is you're just gonna take those notes down. Now, there are a few reasons why this matters. The first is that it removes your price bias and it eliminates brand influence, but it's also building your tasting memory. So this is actually super important because you're basically creating a catalog of smells and tastes that will help you enjoy wine more. So each blind tasting will add new entries to your mental library. In 6 months from now, you're going to be surprised at how many of these sensory memories that you can recall. It's also going to develop your palate, and all those different fine differences that you're paying super attention to in the tastings will make it possible to recognize those differences when you're simply sipping wine at a restaurant or with friends. And most importantly, it creates memorable experiences. It is a blast to do this with friends and with family. So I remember this wine, we had it on this special occasion, and you remember maybe the sounds, the music that was playing, everything about it. That's what wine really is about. And so what you are doing is you are helping build that catalog in your mind. And frankly, it's just surprising sometimes. You are consistently surprised at the things that you like and that other people like that they say they don't. And so you'll also have some less expensive wines that'll outshine kind of legendary wines, and label and price don't actually correlate because you can't see those things when you're blind tasting. So start small, just with a couple comparisons like these, invite friends, make it fun, and remember, there's no wrong answers. You're gonna get it wrong. It's just time for a great party. It's not about perfect identification, it's just developing your palate and just discovering what it is that you really like without the influence of a name. By the way, this was a Malbec, so those of you who guessed it did a little better than me. I thought it was a Zinfandel. Oh well.